By now, the entire world has seen what happened at a Trump rally this past Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. But it's got a lot of people asking questions about Secret Service and why this guy did what he did and went to such extreme measures, while I'm saying the reason he did what he did is right in front of us. We already know why he did that, and of course this is just my opinion, and I want to hear yours after the video. Let me know why you think this happened this past Saturday. And no matter if you agree or disagree, let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you know that primarily we deal with gun reviews, sevens videos. This is not the sphere that I spend a lot of time talking about, but every once in a while I feel really compelled to make a video like this. And while typically I stay out of this arena, I can't do it with this situation because it's really kind of mind-boggling. So I'm not going to cover the events. You know by now what happened. But let's answer the first question, how the Secret Service actually failed everybody at this rally, including President Trump. Now, from what I've seen, there was actually two buildings behind the stage and behind some of the bleachers where, attendees were actually sitting. And so what it looked like is you had two snipers that were on the roof that were kind of catacornered to President Trump this way, and then of course you had two additional ones on the building behind him. Now, I tried to find footage of those four snipers, essentially, those four guys on the rooftop before the shots rang out. But everything I can find shows all of those guys pointing in the direction the shots eventually came from. Now, I don't know what they were looking at, and you don't know what they were looking at. But I did see that that position that they're on, there's actually a slope that goes downhill. So they're kind of up the hill a little bit, and it looks like the building where the shooter was at, they actually have a bit of an advantage. They're kind of looking downhill on that series of buildings. It wasn't just one building that was down there. There was quite a few buildings, and they're all pointed that way. Now, I've heard reports of, one of the guys, one of the snipers, say, hey, can we take care of the threat? And the person in charge of Secret Service denied that request, and he only was able to take the shot once he actually heard shooting. There was also a local police officer that confronted the shooter right before he actually took shots at President Trump. And apparently, Crooks turned his gun towards the police officer and he ended up falling down. Now, I don't know if he fell off the roof or if he was up on the ladder and kind of peeked his head up, asking him why he was there. Not too sure about that. But what we do know is that there was people in the crowd that were telling local police officers, and from what we know, Secret Service actually knew that there was a potential threat on the outside of the interior perimeter. Now, apparently interior perimeter means the closest vicinity to the protectee, in this case, President Trump, where they're going to have screenings, of course, for firearms and all of that stuff. But that doesn't mean that's like the end of the protection zone. That building 130 yards away was most definitely inside of that zone, but from what I understand, they actually split responsibility with local law enforcement and Secret Service. And while that's perfectly fine, I don't see any, real issue with that. The communication was clearly not available between either Secret Service, local law enforcement. Somewhere that communication for sure failed. Why were all these snipers looking in that direction? Why just that direction? You would think if these guys are looking that direction, the other pair of snipers, whether they were Secret Service or local, I think they were actually Secret Service. So anyways, why wouldn't they be looking the opposite direction? They knew something was going on, so they had that information. Why shots weren't taken before this all took place, that's another unknown. Now, of course, everybody wants to ask why there wasn't at least local law enforcement on top of the building that Crooks was able to get up on. There was a ladder there and everything. That's another question that, I don't know if Secret Service is actually going to answer that. I know there's like an independent type of investigation that they're willing to go through. That's going to be a really interesting question as to why a building 130 yards away was not secured. And to be honest with you, that seemed kind of like the ideal vantage point, right? That has the most wide open, best peripherals, best field of view, unless it is just so far downhill that they believed their sniper teams that were behind the president up here was so good they would be able to see on top of the rooftops. That's one possibility. But either way, there was clearly a failure there. Now, another failure actually happened when they got the president inside of the armored truck. Not necessarily when they rushed to him. I think when they rushed to him, that was quick response. They covered him up. They used their bodies as literal shields to cover up President Trump. But as they're getting into the vehicle, you see a couple girls there, which are way shorter than President Trump. He's like 6'3" by the way. So he's a tall guy. Unless they're just there to protect his midsection and down, I can't see how they were of that much use. And then one of them isn't reholstering her gun. It doesn't even look like she's to be holding it right, to be honest with you. Now, to be fair, adrenaline's rushing, things are going on. I understand that, but it was clear that she kept trying to reholster, and then she held it. You know, she's left-handed, so she's holding it, and she's like, okay, maybe now I can reholster, you know, and then she finally gets it in the holster. Again, unless these women are there to protect President Trump's midsection only, why are they there? So you have DEI ideas being pushed into one of the most important agencies that we have to protect former and the current president of the United States. Now, 30% more women sounds really good. If you have sharpshooters like a Lena Michalak up there, hey, I'm all about it. I don't know that I would have her in detail around the president because, again, you know, women are typically a lot shorter than men. That's something where you need big dudes that are able to protect him. The Secret Service is checking these places where these rallies are being held days, maybe a week in advance, maybe more, I don't know, for potential line of sight directly to Trump, 360 degrees. They're making sure that, you know, they can watch the entire perimeter. So you're telling me a building 130 yards away, by the way, 130 yards or 150 yards, even less than 200 yards, that is not a hard shot. That is, you know, and thank God that he missed. Thank God he was distracted either by the police officer or by people yelling at him. Whatever the case is, you know, I mean, just a simple turn of the head. I don't know if you guys seen this graphic, but basically the way Trump was looking was kind of like this, and then he just happened to turn his head like that, and that's when the shot rang out. So, yeah, just there's a lot of things, whether it's divine intervention, whether it's just simply luck. I don't know. I don't believe in, you know, just things being lucky, but sometimes that happens. Either way, for a kid, 20 years old, failed the rifle team, by the way, in high school, to get access to a building 150 yards away, talking about less than 400 feet, or roughly 400 feet. Either way, for a 20-year-old kid to get through security, or not through security, but the levels of security, right, around the entire perimeter, around this entire place where the rally was being held, to get up the ladder with a rifle and his bag, lay down, and get off 5-6 shots, whatever it was, is either super remarkable or really sketchy if you think about it. I'm not saying this was an inside job. What I am saying, there's something really, really kind of sketch about this whole situation, that somebody like this was able to get that close. Just something doesn't feel right. You may be saying, well, yeah, this guy was a registered Republican, so why would he, of all people, do that? Well, we do know that he gave, you know, $15 to some progressive group, whoever they are, Act Blue, maybe something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? I'll use this example. People inside of Hitler's own circle, people very close to him, tried to assassinate him, right? He had multiple assassination attempts for good reason. Talking about Hitler, of course, but that was people that were very close to him. What matters is the rhetoric that's been used over the past 8 to 10 years involving Donald Trump.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
When you look at the things that have been said about Trump, from politicians to celebrities to frickin' rappers and everybody in between, it is truly evil what they have put this guy through. And I will always divert to this. Trump's a billionaire, right? If you're a billionaire, will you take that level of scrutiny just because? Well, most people would say no. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. I'm going to enjoy my money, and everything like that. Most people would not, first of all, be able to handle that level of scrutiny, and second of all, even put themselves in it. Even after his first term, he could have just simply said, okay, it's too much, walking away. So that tells me that he obviously cares. The rhetoric that has been used is simply evil. There's no other way to put it. They have constantly compared him to Hitler. They have said he's an existential threat to America and democracy. They love throwing that out there. They denied his presidency when he won in 2016. They said he incited violence on January 6th. And yet, we've heard nothing but violence being incited, like really being incited, from media and people on the left.
We're going to go in there, we're going to... This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers.
So if I'm a young kid, super impressionable, and I'm growing up in the age of TikTok and Instagram and all this kind of crap that, all of us now consume, but that's all we consume, and that's where we get our information from, and I'm being told that this guy, this one dude, is going to ruin America, and he is Hitler reincarnated, they may see me as a hero if I'm able to take this guy out. And some people were praising what he did. Now, I'm not going to show this because it's disgusting. You can find these videos of people saying, oh, I wish the guy was a better shot, and better luck next time, all that kind of stuff. It's just really, really disgusting. And that's another reason I don't sit here and mention the guy's name, the shooter's name, over and over and over, because even though you probably know it by now, that's another part of the problem. They just continuously show the guy. Now we all know that he was in a BlackRock commercial, and this guy is just going to be infamous. He's going to be tied forever to the guy that attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. And unfortunately, and I hope I'm really wrong here, but unfortunately, I don't think this will be the last one. Trump, even above Joe Biden, is probably the most targeted, or the person most susceptible to something like this happening. And again, that leads to the rhetoric. So they can talk about unity and all this kind of stuff, and yeah, that sounds great, but when you have the past 8 years talking about this guy the way they have, it's disgusting. And while they have done it, and the right to an extent, but it's never as far. It never goes that far. But unfortunately, the double standard in this country is real. But I do believe that President Trump, when he said he rewrote his speeches for this upcoming week and the RNC, that I believe that. I believe he truly does want unity. And again, I always kind of divert to the fact that he is a billionaire. He could go off and enjoy his life. Even after one term, you achieved the highest office ever, did a fantastic job. He could have simply walked away and said, man, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. I don't have to put up with this crap. But you could show, that he truly cares because he is willing to deal and can handle all the scrutiny. It is really seriously impressive. So there you go, man. That's why all this is unfolding the way it has. And like I said, thank God that it just the turn of a head from President Trump is we could have been having a completely different conversation, obviously. So there you go, man. I'd love to hear your opinion as well. No matter if you agree or disagree, just keep it civil. That's the biggest thing, dude. You don't have to hate somebody because they disagree with you. And I've said that all along. It's really easy for us to say that, maybe not so much for other people, but hopefully that will change. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.